What is going on, everybody? We are back, but we're doing a quarterfinals prediction for the Copa America. We're doing this not only for the Copa America, but also for the Euros. So if you haven't checked out the Euros, please go check that out after you're done watching this one. This one's going to be a little bit short and sweet. And yeah, let's get into it, guys. So I want to start off with Argentina versus Ecuador. I'm gonna pounce it off to you, Will. What do you think about this game? Give us your predictions and why you think so and so is going to win.
Yeah. Real quick, Argentina, just to be quite honest with you guys, I think this tournament, and arguably, I would have to say them, Uruguay, and Colombia have been the most convincing. They've looked the best. I just think Argentina, the reason I would really surpass them, I don't even think Ecuador is going to give a challenge. Ecuador scraped out of their group. Good team. They still don't have a Stupinian. Argentina's got this. I feel like they're going to be locked. We have to see with Messi, though, his injury. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Adam, what about you?
I think this is the easiest one to pick out of all four of them. Argentina has looked very, very good. They are obviously the team to beat, even still. Looked great, even against a couple weak teams. But yeah, Ecuador, like Will said, squeaking out of a group that's not even considered a strong group. They're not going to put up much of a fight.
Yeah, and I'm gonna end it off here. I'm gonna go Argentina as well. Argentina had a pretty easy group considering every other team in that group only scored one goal combined. Um, And then you had the Ecuador Group B with Ecuador, Mexico, Jamaica, and Venezuela, where a more balanced group, but all kind of like mid teams, honestly. And Ecuador was supposed to be the favorite coming out of this group as the first place team. And they underperformed, in my opinion. I thought that they'd play a little bit better. Look, we all expected them to not really be able to score, and really no one on that group should have been able to really score. And Ecuador kind of proved that in a way. They had moments like the Jamaica game where they scored three, but reality, one of those was a miracle. Another one was a handball pen, and then they actually got one on the counter. So, yeah, I think Argentina is going to eat their lunch. I think the best way Ecuador has a chance of winning this game is if they can take it to a shootout, honestly, and just hold Argentina down. But it seems like no one's really been able to quite yet. But obviously, I think Ecuador probably has the best defense that Argentina is going to face so far. So yeah, I got Argentina here. I think they're going to win 2-0. All right. Let's get into let's get into Venezuela versus Canada. I'm gonna bounce it over to you, Adam, first. What do you think of this game?
Um, this is gonna be. I mean, this is probably the. I think this is the toughest one to pick, personally.
I was
I'm
between
gonna
that or
pick.
the Uruguay Brazil.
Yeah, though they're both very tough, but I'm gonna have to go Venezuela here. Canada, they just didn't really look so convincing to me. I think Venezuela, it was a little bit of it being a weak group and Ecuador underperforming, but I do think that they actually came out and looked a lot better than people were thinking. So I'm gonna give it to Venezuela.
All right, Will.
Yeah, I got to go also with Adam's pick. I think Venezuela, this team has been honestly the team to look out for this entire tournament. This team, if I'm not wrong, has scored the third or fourth most amount of goals in the tournament. I mean, Solomon Rondon he's just done what he's done. He's come to life again, what he's been doing with this club form as well at Pachuca. I think Canada, ups to the boys representing CONCACAF, because it wasn't for them, Panama, we would be the only CONCACAF team in the quarterfinals. But all props to the Canadians. But kind of like you guys said, I just think their lack of scoring is going to haunt them in this game. And to be quite honest, Venezuela has shown not only are they a team that can compete in the transition and score on a counterattack, but they can also hold you up defensively. I mean, dude, Jordan Osorio, face mask guy. I don't know if y'all seen him, the center back. Put some respect on that man's name. Venezuela has been cooking, and they've been doing really good. It's already a sold-out crowd as well. It's going to be probably 95% Venezuelans. I just think Venezuela is going to be able to overpower them and Mongo Teo fifth. So,
Yeah, so this one, man, I'm leading up to us doing this. This game was the one I was thinking about the most because I'm really struggling because one, you can say on paper, obviously Canada is the better team, but Canada, this entire group stage, I thought really underperformed from what I expected, and I'm sure what a lot of people expected. Look, people some people didn't have him getting out. Some people had him getting out of the group. But one thing for sure is I don't think they had him performing this poorly, one way or another. And what really struggles me is because, like, while Venezuela can be very stout defensively, I do think they still, no matter what, they do struggle offensively, and they got to find a way to get out of kind of games and kind of win games, and they have been able to. And Canada is kind of vice versa. They've supposed to be stronger offensively, but defensively, they've actually been playing better than they have on the offense because for some reason, whatever it is, they're not being able to connect with each other with Jonathan David, Kyle Laren. Schaffelberg did for a moment in that Peru game. Alfonso Davies has been kind of what. So I think this game's going to go to penalties, and I'm going to go Venezuela advances on penalties. So, but I will not be surprised if Canada advances, but this is definitely the toughest one to pick from without a doubt. But yeah, I think this is a game that definitely goes to pens or at least extra time. But all right, let's start off. I mean, next one we'll do Uruguay versus my gosh, cannot speak, Brazil. And I'll start off with this one. I'm going to go Uruguay here. I think Uruguay has looked pretty convincing. I did think the United States did give them a run for their money a little bit there. But I think a lot of that had to do with the scheme. Uruguay knew that as long as they held United States to a close game, that no matter what, they're going to get through. The odds of them getting knocked out was very slim. So I think a more God, always the worst. I mean, all right. I think Uruguay, who has to put their foot on the gas and actually go out and win a game, I think they're going to play a little bit more aggressive than against Brazil. And Brazil, even though, yes, they had a good game against Paraguay, but look, man, Paraguay ended up last in the group, got 0 points out of the entire tournament. I don't know how much to think about that. There was a decent showing against Colombia. Rafinha hit an absolute golazo. But I'm going to go Uruguay here. I think they're just built better as a team. I like Bielsa way more than how do you say his name? Dorval Jr. That guy,
Dorito Jr.
Yeah, that guy is. I'm not a huge fan of his tactics and the way they play. And Brazil just doesn't give me any reason to trust them versus Uruguay. It gives me every reason to. So I'm going with Uruguay here.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. I mean, that's exactly what I've been kind of saying throughout. And if you guys have been watching, you know this. But that's what I've been saying is Brazil gives you reasons to doubt them, whereas Uruguay is just giving you reasons to trust them. That's why they're still my dark horse pick. I'm hoping it's a great game, but I mean, Uruguay have looked very convincing, scored the most goals out of anybody in the tournament out of group stage play so far, and are tied for second and the least amount conceded, with 1 goal, only behind Argentina, who have not conceded yet. So we'll see what happens, but I'm still got Uruguay. Looking great.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys' picks. Uruguay, I could say I was able to watch the Celeste live in person, and boy, these guys, man, I went down to the Miami game to watch Panama and Uruguay play. These guys are the real deal. I mean, the midfield, and I will say, is probably going to be their biggest hitting point, because to watch that battle between Ugarte and Freddy Valverde and Nicolas de la Cruz versus Bruno Guimaraes and João Gomez and Paulinho and all these guys from Brazil, it's going to be a very interesting battle. I think, like you guys said, I really rate Bielsa a lot more than Dorito Jr. You know, all due respect, he's not a bad coach, but I just think honestly, there's a lot of tactics. And honestly, one last quick point to Brazil: Vinny Jr. will not be playing this game. Yellow card suspension. He accumulated in the last game against Colombia, so it's just not. I don't want to say it doesn't look the best for Brazil. But the thing is, like you even kind of said, Julian, who was the main guy who got 2 goals in the Paraguay game, who really was causing problems in the Paraguayan defense? It was Vinicius Jr. He's the main guy. He's the star boy. Rodrigo has been a literal ghost this tournament. Rafinha has brought some moments. Guimaraes has been okay. It's just, the thing is, to beat Uruguay, Panama, we were absolutely, I would say that was probably arguably one of our best games of the tournament, and we lost to them 3-1. So Brazil can't be okay, or they can't be good enough. They have to be excellent to beat this Uruguayan team. So I just think they're going to fall short and lose 2-1.
And I do want to add one more quick point in there, like especially what you said with the midfield. I rate Uruguay's midfield way higher than Brazil's midfield as of right now. And to beat Uruguay, I think you have to break up that midfield and win that midfield battle because we saw that with the United States. I thought the United States with Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie and Yunus Musa, that was a formidable competition in the midfield that was able to go toe to toe with them. And I don't think Brazil has that capability as of it stands right now from what we've seen this tournament. Even though they did look better in the Colombia game, I will give them that. But, anyways, let's move on to the next and final game. That is Colombia versus Panama. We'll leave Will for last since he's our resident Panamanian. Adam, why don't you start off with this game? Start us off.
All right, I will start off. Man, you know what? I will start by saying I got to give my props to Panama. They really, I'm sorry, you could say what you want about the US, but they did what they needed to do. We knew that they were capable of it. We talked about it in the past. I know I definitely mentioned it, even though I may not have picked them. But Colombia are part of the big boys. They've regained their form. They've looked great, and they stood toe to toe with Brazil. Arguably, yes, is the two bottom big boys. If you're arguing about the other two top ones being Uruguay and Argentina, but I mean, Colombia has looked very good against the teams that they should beat, and this is a team that they should beat. So I'd expect Colombia to win this pretty easily. But Panama are going to give it full effort.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Colombia as well. I do think Panama's gonna be a formidable foe for them. I think it's gonna be. I see a potential 3-1 scoreline again. The one thing that does scare me about Panama is kind of leaving themselves open to get scored on. I mean, shit, even Bolivia scored on them. So expect to be scored on as a Panamanian fan will, especially against this Colombian team who just they find a way to create chances and unlock. And with the way James Rodriguez has been playing, the dude is turns back time when he plays with Colombia. It's insane. So yeah, I have Colombia here with a 3-1 victory.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep it real quick with you guys. Obviously, I could talk on about this about for hours and days. I was really thankful to watch Panama against Bolivia and also in the Uruguay game. Had a lot of good friends also go to the USA game. Listen, dude, I mean, real quick, I think a lot of people doubted on us, a lot of people hated on us. Obviously, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, wow, dude, this was so unappreciated. Obviously, I won't admit the US and Uruguay were the heavy favorites to get out of the group, but I think it just shows that this is why football is not played on piece of paper. You can't play the game and say, well, this guy plays at this club, so they're going to win, So props to the boys. Like I said, I mean, it was an emotional ride. I'm so glad, I'm so proud we've made history. One of the first Central American teams to make it to the quarterfinals. And not just that, we're one of the only two CONCACAF teams here. I will say, though, a little bit biased on my prediction, but why not, man? Why not have some faith? Hey, 2003 Gold Cup. I looked at a little bit. I pulled up some of the records, the receipts. We beat Colombia in added time, 3-2. Why can't we do it again?
2003.
I pulled up an old
literally over 20 years ago.
I know. I wasn't even born, but the point is still, I just want to say is this team has just, I must say, and I want to honestly, real quick on the matchups, Michael Murillo with Lucho Diaz is going to be like, I would pay for that any day of the week if that was a pay-per-view fight. Like that matchup is going to be absolutely incredible. Only downside, I will say for Panama, big one, we still don't have Coco Carrasquilla for some of the most BS CONMEBOL stuff I've ever seen. He's still suspended. If we were to advance, we would get him back in the semifinals. But you know what? I'm not going to lose faith. I'm not going to lose hope in these boys because, 4.4 million people never did. So I believe Panama, I think we can do it. Is it going to, it's obviously, it's mission impossible again, but why not?
Yeah, maybe get another red card.
hey, James Rodriguez throws a left hand. Who knows? So, hey, we can do that. Yeah.
But anyways, guys, that's our quarterfinal predictions for Copa America. We're going to go through every knockout round, next semifinals, as well as the final, and do predictions and previews for each one. Like I said, we'll also have some for the Euro, so go check those out as well. And then at the end of this, at both tournaments, we're going to do full-length recaps, full-length podcasts of each recap of each tournament. And If you guys want to see our thoughts on the overall tournament and specific games and dig a little deeper on what we saw throughout the scope of the whole thing, subscribe and follow us. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everybody.